What's going on, you bunch of heretics? Grab paint pots, grab your recaf, and let's get some paint on that ever-growing pile of potential. It's here. The heresy is my therapy. Slapchop tutorials. Slapchop / speed paint, I suppose, really. Today we are being true heretics indeed, as we slapchop some world eaters. More specifically, the Warhammer Plus kind of year one Terminator. This is something I've had sat for quite some time. Haven't ever got around to doing it, but now I feel like is the right time. It is Azrakh the Annihilator. So yes, today we are going to be painting World Eaters Terminator, and hopefully it should turn out all right. Anyway, without further ado, as always, everything you need is in the description below. Let's get to it. Right, here he is. And for the keynote amongst you, it was year 2, not year 1, so I do apologise. But yes, here he is, all set up, good to go. And I've also just kind of put the head on one of those like special sort of mounts. It will all come apparent in a little bit. As always, guys, we've got our model ready. We've got our 3-step paints, we've got our paintbrushes, we've got our tissues, we've got our paint pot, we've got our wet palette, and of course, Administratum Grey, Ultron Grey, and White Scar, or Corex White if you've got it. As always, we're going to prep our brushes. We've got our main guy ready to go, ready for the slap chop process. So yes, let's get into it. You know the drill with what we're going to do. Right, yes, Administratum Grey is going to be our first colour applied to the model. You know the routine. We're going to grab our dry brush, a medium dry brush or a small dry brush, whichever one you want. Plenty of paint on the brush, and of course we are going to take it all off. Take it all off, and we're going to slowly build up the layers, as we always do with these videos, guys. Remember, we're going absolutely everywhere with this dry brush. Absolutely everywhere with it, guys. Remember, small circles, getting everywhere in all the little nooks and crannies with the Administratum Grey. And we're probably going to go with a couple of layers of this. All right, we are going to go with a couple of layers of this. I do apologise if it's flickering or glitchy throughout the transitions. Hopefully it hasn't done it on the rendering. Anyway, I'm rambling on. But yes, I'm doing a couple of layers of this, and I'm getting absolutely everywhere, underneath everything, inside everywhere, using a smaller dry brush to get into those hard to reach places. But we want to get this, nice and bright, as you can see there. That is where we want to be applying this Administratum Grey. And as always, we get a fresh dry brush, and we're just going to take off all of that excess paint, ready to start the next layer. Yep, Ultron Grey is the next layer that we are going to be applying onto our miniature. And same again, guys, we're going to take I'm going to go with a smaller dry brush this time. You can go, if you've got medium, you've got medium. If you've got small, you've got small. But same again, but this time we're not going underneath there. We're just going now where the light catches the model. So again, big small circles, small circles, big circles, big circles, small circles, and again we're just building this up as always when we do the slap chop process. Okay, small circles, but again we're not going underneath, we're just going where the light captures onto the model to really build that nice contrasting effect on the model. And like I say, just get everywhere, slowly build it all up. Okay, and if you want to go a bit lighter than you think, maybe add a 3rd layer, but again I usually go with 2 layers of this just to kind of give it a nice pop, and you can really see the difference in the areas of light versus those areas of the shadow, creating a nice contrast between the 2 areas. But again, like I say, all of the areas where the light is touching, that's where we're going to go. And same again, we're going to get our old dry brush, and we're just going to get that clean dry brush straight all over the model, just to take off any excess dusty paint. As you'll probably find that when you're doing this, you will get a little bit of that on the model. Want to make sure it's nice and prepared for that final layer. And there he is, almost ready for the next one. Almost ready. So yes, final one, either White Scar or Korax White, whichever one you have in your arsenal of paints. Here I'm using White Scar. But same again, small dry brush or medium, whichever one you have, plenty on the brush, and again, you're literally just going over those areas that you've just gone on with the all-thrown grey, just to really make it pop, really make it shine, or not shine, that's not quite the right term, is it? No, to really create that nice edge, or not edge highlight, but that nice dry brushed highlight for that contrast paint to sit on the top. And like I say, we're not going into the shadowy places, we're just going where the light is shining on the model. Again, use your light that you've got on your desk to kind of just project down, so you can really pick out those areas that require the light, and you'll see a really nice difference between the two. And like today, I've done maybe like 2 layers of it, and I'm just going to get my final dry brush with a clean dry brush all over the mod, just again taking away any of that excess paint that we don't want on the model. Okay guys, so get it all nice and cleaned up, and if you want to put another layer on because you want to make it a little bit more brighter, then you can absolutely do so. Alright, it's your model, I suppose, your choice. And don't forget to do it, don't forget to follow that process for the head as well. Okay, moving on. So first of all, we're going to take Skeleton Horde, and we are, this is kind of going to just take away, it will kind of get rid of a bit of a pinkiness in the red areas, and it will kind of help with the yellow that we want to create, or for the contrast or Slapchop non-metal metallics for the yellow, kind of like how the box art is really. But again, we're just getting it on our palette, no need for Lamia medium for this, just straight onto the wet palette, and all we're doing is, you know, a good layer all over the miniature, minus the areas that are going to be in black, and you can just kind of follow the box art for that. That's what we're going with here for this. But yes, all over the miniature, building it up. And I would probably, you know, like I say, you know, 1 layer, maybe 2 layers, two layers from your wet palette, so from the pot to the palette onto the model. Alright guys, and like I say, you're just building stuff just to kind of take away the it, just to kind of give a bit more of a nicer hue underneath, so it won't come out more, the red won't come out pink, it will come out more with that yellowy red that we're after, not a pinky red. And like I say, get into all those hard to reach places and build it up. Like I say, I've done maybe 2 layers here, and if you feel like you want to go a bit further with a third, you're more than welcome to. It's your model, you do whatever you like, live. No, yeah, so like I say, I've probably gone 2 layers here, and I'll just, like I say, move the paint around, don't let it pool, and just build up a nice layer of that Skeleton Horde. Right, next up we're going to get our Pterodon Turquoise. We're now going to kind of put like the base for the black layers on, and as always with this, guys, you know, like I say, we're going to get our Pterodon Turquoise, we're going to pop it on our wet palette, and of course classically we're going to get our Lamia medium, and again maybe like a 1-to-1, 2-to-1 mix of Pterodon to Lamia medium. Again, it's a nice thin layer of this. We just want to create that nice turquoise hue with the black, you know, not just going straight from the blotchiness of the black straight on that. So that's why we're going to have that Pterodon Turquoise. And if you've watched previous videos, you'll know what we're kind of doing with our black contrast paint, kind of undercoat, if you will. And that's all it really is. We're just kind of like underpainting, building up layers. So like I say, all the areas that you want in black, again, we're kind of following the box art here. Which like I say, we're just going to get all those with a nice thin layer of Pterodon Turquoise. And again, if you want to put 2 layers on, you can do. But like I say, it's better to start off thin. You know, 2 thin coats. Classically, you know, I know it's very Duncan Rhodes-esque, but again, 2 thin coats on this to really create that nice hue. Again, we're going that power pack on the front. We're going to get all in the armor work, between the armor work, elements of the gun casing, and of course elements of his chain fist. Okay, so all those areas that you want to have in black, that's where we're going to apply the thinned down Pterodon Turquoise. Alright, just like I say, 2 thin coats, slowly building all up. Don't go straight from the pot and add it in. We want a nice thin layers of this into the model. Alright, like I say, you're getting all those little nooks and crannies. And again, just all we're doing here is we're just following the box art, keeping it simple. It's in essence 3 colours. It's black, it's red, and it's yellow in essence. But yes, for this, like I say, there's all those areas that you want to have black. We're just going to apply 2 thin coats of Tarragon Turquoise. Easy as that, troops. Okay, next off we have got Magmadroth Flame. Okay, Magmadroth Flame, for those of you that watched the Blood Angels video, this will be already quite apparent to you. So again, why we're putting the Magmadroth Flame on, this is quite simple. What we're creating with the Magmadroth Flame is a nice orangey red hue when we put on our Flesh Tearers red. If you put Flesh Tearers red straight onto a white, it just comes out a bit too pink and doesn't give that richness that we want. And again, you know, we're using our Lahmian medium, a bit of a 2-to-1 mix, and again, like a nice thin down layer of all the areas that we want to be in red. And again, we're going 2 thin coats. Again, I know the whole Slapchop thing is, well, just slap it all on. We're taking out a bit more time. It's like a Slapchop plus, you know, a bit more of an advanced Slapchop, if you will, if I'm allowed. Are we allowed to say that? I guess we are. Who knows? Anyway, like I say, we're just going to build up 2 thin coats on the model with this Magmadroth Flame. It's a really nice colour and comes out really, really nice. And like I say, we're just building it all up. Take your time. I'm using a small layer brush here. You know, this will work out really nicely from the Techlon Tiger range. Comes with this like a small layer brush. It's fantastic. And there you go. Like I say, 2 thin coats of Magmadroth Flame. Moving on, we're going to go Flesh Tearers red. We don't want to be using Blood Angels red, and we want Flesh Tearers. Again, it's a nice, it kind of gives that World Eaters deeper, more gothic look, that saturated blood look that we want to create for our World Eaters. And again, we're thinning this down, you know, 2-to-1, 1-to-1, and we're going all over the areas. 2 thin coats. Again, I'm sorry to keep quoting Duncan Rhodes, but hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The guy knows what he's talking about. So yeah, like I say, we're just putting this onto that Magmadroth Flame to really give a nice, rich red, deep red colouring on our World Eaters Terminator. Like I say, we're just building up 2 thin coats all over the model, all over the areas that we've gone red. And as you can see there, you know, it will just build nicely. So put that first layer on. You might not think it's not quite dark enough, so you just add that second one on. If you want to add a third, you can do, but I would just keep it to just kind of 2 layers, you know, straight over that model. And like you say, it will just deepen it. Of course, if your colour scheme is a little deeper, then of course, you know, go for it. Add that 3rd layer on, you wild heretic, you. But yes, for this, I'm literally just keeping it a nice thin down layer, 2-to-1 of Lahmian medium and Flesh Tearers red, and just placing it all over those areas that I want to keep in red for the main armor work. And we're just finishing it off here, really coming nice. And as you can see, that colours really become darkened and richer with each layer, which is what we're trying to achieve with this model. All right, so there we are, ready for the next stage. Okay, moving on, we're going to get our Iron Dan Yellow. And again, for those that have watched all of the tutorials of how to do non-metal metallic with contrast in a Slapchop fashion, it's the same process. We've already got our Skeleton Horde on. We're now going to just add our Iron Dan Yellow onto the palette, mixing it all up, just thinning it all down. And then, like I say, we're just going to add just that little bit of that Lahmian medium, just to thin it down a little bit. And again, we just want to build those layers up. And again, with putting this Iron Dan Yellow onto a Skeleton Horde, it kind of takes away, I think at times I find it's a bit like, almost comes out a bit green sometimes when you put it straight onto the white with the black, but that Skeleton Horde just kind of helps it out. So all we're doing here, we're just putting this all over those areas that are now exposed, those chaos trimmings that everyone hates. But hey, y'all want to be a heretic, you gotta do heretic things. So yes, this is all the chaos gold trimming now that we're now putting this iron down yellow on. And again, it's same sketch, guys. It's the same sketch. 2 thin coats. Build up the layers. We don't want to be going thick because it will just create blotchiness on the model, and we don't want that. All right. And as you can see, 2 thin coats, and it's got a real nice yellow effect to it. Right then, next up we have got our Gore Grunter Fur. You know the routine with this. Again, this is quite a heavy colour. Alright, and we want to thin this down. So yeah, we've got our Gore Grunter Fur. I know I always get it mixed up with Cygor Brown, and I apologise for doing that to you guys, but this is Gore Grunter Fur. Gore Grunter Fur with our Lamian medium. Again, you know, 1:1, 2:1, nice and thin down, take plenty off the brush. We want to make sure this is nice and thin down, and all we're doing is, it's a little bit messy actually, we're just kind of getting it in those areas. We're just following the box art, so all those areas and recesses that would look a little bit darker, that's all we're doing with this. So again, very, very thin layers of doing it. I apologize for the glitchiness of the transfers. Again, all in those areas, we're just kind of going over the yellow, just very, not messily, but we're just being a little more generous, if you will, than what we would be with the Cygor Brown, which will be coming up. Okay, but again, we're just going over those areas, following the box art of where it'd be a little bit darker, and we're just putting that into the model itself. Okay. Again, we are being neat, but at the same time, we're not overly worried about being super neat, if that makes sense. We want this to kind of sit in the creases, in the cracks and the crevices. All right, and again, build this up layer by layer. If you want to add more, but always thin it down with that Lamian medium, 1:1, 2:1 mix, and keep it nice and light. So while that's drying, we're going to get our Black Legion. Again, this has got a nice, again, we're thinning the Black Legion down, and this is going to go on all the areas we applied that Tarragon turquoise to. Again, we really want this to be a 1:1 mix. Really thin this down, because if you take this from the pot to the palette to the model, you're just going to ruin all that hard work you've put in, and it's going to be really blotchy. So we really want to thin this down and slowly build those layers up to the desired effect. All right. So again, I know we've got that nice turquoisey hue, but again, we really just want to make sure that we just build up that Black Legion. It's a very heavy colour, as many of you will know that have used Black Legion before, and we're just going into all of those areas that we've applied the Tarragon turquoise to. Nice and thin, nice and light, and again, we're just trying to be careful. We don't want to get it all over the model, so I'm using a small layer brush here. All right, so again, take your time with it, slowly build it up. I'd probably recommend classically 2 thin coats, and again with the head now, we're just going over those areas that we've applied all this to. So basically where his head sits in the kind of head casing, is that head casing? Like where his neck armor work is, and the headrest on the back of his like armor, we're just kind of just applying that Black Legion just straight onto it. You're not really going to see it, but it just, if you, on certain angles you might do, so it just kind of helps create a little bit of a contrast behind that, and dulls down the build up Slapchop stuff. Okay, with all that dried, we're now going to get our Cygor Brown. Okay, and again, I can't stress this enough, Cygor Brown, put it into the old mix and make of the Gore Grunter Fur, and again, make sure that you thin this down with your Lamian medium, or if you haven't got it, water will be fine, but again, a small amount, 1:1, and again, we're just allowing this to sit in those areas where it's really quite dark. Again, follow the box art as your kind of reference point. That'll make life a little bit easier, but basically what we really want is all those deep recesses, just to kind of have allow that contrast to kind of do its job. And Cygor Brown does a really good job. You just don't want to go too heavy, and again, we just build these layers up. Again, you can go 2 thin coats with this. 1 should suffice, because it is a very dark colour. It's very heavy paint that really does require you to make sure it's thinned down with that Lamium medium, so that you get a really nice effect. Again, if you go straight from the pot onto this, it's just going to ruin that hard work because of the way it sits on the model. So just make sure you thin it down 2 to 1, 1 to 1, and just really build up the layers in the creases. And again, just kind of follow the box art of where you would put those darkened areas. And as you can see, it's kind of coming into its own. We've taken away the brightness of that yellow originally, and now it's becoming that grim, dark World Eaters look, which is what we're trying to achieve, I suppose. Yeah, there he is. Slowly getting there. We're almost there, troops. We're almost there. Yeah. Alright, folks, you know what time it is. You know what time it is. This is where we start to do the magic with the Xandri dust. I'm hoping, as I have tried to listen to many of you guys, having the camera angle a little bit closer, so a different kind of angle too. So I'm hoping you can see this much clearer. I do try and listen, guys. Remember, like I say, we put loads and loads on the brush. We take all of it off, and I mean we take off absolutely all of it, and we feather dust on the model. Feather dust. I cannot stress this enough. This is so light, like you almost think, is this even working? And then all of a sudden you'll just see it. Okay, so we are going super light with next to 0 paint on the brush, just a minute amount, and just keep going until there's physically nothing else going on, and then reapply. And again, go to your desired effect, but you won't need many layers of this. Okay, you will not need many layers. This is a super light process. I can't stress this enough. Super light, super delicate, and you'll get there. Okay. Next, we're going to take out your Shabty bone, and again, all we're going to do with this is on the areas that are our NMM gold. We're going to apply this in the same way again. Plenty on the brush. Take absolutely all of it off. Take it all off. A little bit on your finger if you have to. And again, we're literally just very gently, very softly, just going over those areas that are in that kind of gold effect. And if it catches the edges of the red on the light, I mean, it's a bit of a highlight, so it will be alright. But again, super light, super gentle. Okay, with that dry brush. Okay. Next, we're going to get our mantis green. Okay. Yeah, mantis green. So we get our mantis green, and all we're going to do is around the edges of the headpiece on the main model. We're just going to go where those areas. We're just going to basically fill in those highlights and just kind of create that green glow that you see on there. And again, like you say, it's just nice and simple process, just around the edges, and it will just kind of give a bit of a greenish hue. Nothing too wild. We don't want to go too heavy with this, but just enough for people to see and go, oh yeah, there is a little bit of a greenish hue around the back of his head. Okay, with that done, we're going to get our I could never pronounce this. It's basically like it's almost like a skeleton horde paint. It's in the description below. Ironrack skin, I think it is called. Again, I just pronouncing it's a nightmare. But all we're going to do is 2 thin coats on the head, okay, to get a nice desired effect for the skin. Okay, it's a real easy way of doing this. Like I say, I'm sorry for the focus. It does focus in a second. There we go. Like I say, all we're doing is 2 thin coats all over the face, cover the whole face, don't worry about it, okay, obviously trying to get it on the helmet pieces, but again, cover the face, 2 thin coats of this, and you'll get the effect that we want, alright, 2 thin coats of this. Okay, with that now done, I'm just going to allow that while we're letting that dry. This is where you can start to put in your desired base. I've got some sterling mud. I'm just going to throw some sterling mud on there, a little bit of grass flock, and then just cover it in blood for the blood god. But for this is where I'm now, while I'm waiting for the 2 thin coats of the Ironrack skin. I'm just literally throwing on some base. Okay, next I'm going to get my Shyish Purple. Again, different way of doing the model, but again, Shyish Purple, and all we're doing is thin layers over the entire head. Make sure we got our Lamy medium. Mix it in together, and you're looking for, again, 1-to-1, really thin. Okay, you don't want to go too heavy with this. We want to build the layers. We're going to go all over the face, and we're going to pay special attention to kind of the eyes, the crease in the nose, the mouth, and just the kind of like recessed areas in the of the face. All right, and again, go to your desired amount that you want with this. I've gone with a bit of a thinner amount. Next, we're going to get our Nuln oil, again the old liquid talent, because it's going to do exactly what we want it to here, the old liquid talente. And all we're doing, we're just going to basically take our Nuln oil, and all we're going to do is just basically pop this into the eyes, very much like we do with our normal Azrakh Annihilator, our normal heads. So again, this is literally going into the eyes. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less, just into the eyes. With that done, we're going to get our Azrakh skin again. Again, I don't know how to pronounce it, and I really hope somebody in the comments can tell me, because that'd be ideal. All you're going to do, grab your small dry brush, get plenty on there. It's quite a thin paint, in all fairness, so make sure you get loads of it off. And all we're going to do, very simply, is just dry brush over the face, very lightly, just so you've got that horrible, manky, pale skin with the purple, that corrupt chaos look underneath. Underneath. So yes, just very lightly, and you'll just see that sitting there ever so nicely. Okay, again, a real thin amount, go gentle with it, nothing wild. Okay, with that done, we're going to get our Blood Angels red, and all we're simply going to do is we're just going to pop this very thinly around the eye, so a little bit on your palette. Again, thin it down. If you want to add your Lamy medium, I recommend that you do. Again, 1-to-1 mix with this, and all we're simply doing, or 1-to-1, 2-to-1, a thin mix, and all this is going to do is literally go around the eyes. Okay, so all we're doing is, again, creating that chaos hue effect that we want with our model. So where you've highlighted with that dry brush, this is really going to make that kind of that pop around the eyes. Okay, again, you want to take a little bit off. If it's a bit too thick, just put it on your thumb. But again, just around the eyes, really lightly around the eyes, top of the cheek, and a little bit across the bridge of the nose. All right. Okay, next we're going to get our Iron Warriors, and all we're really doing, this is basically like for the cables in his head, the stud. Again, all we're doing, a little bit of Iron Warriors, a little bit of Iron Warriors, and all we're doing, like I say, the service stud, the lines, we're just adding our Iron Warriors onto that. So go from part to palette, take plenty off, and just basically all the metal work that's in and around his head, we're just applying this Iron Warriors to. There you go. Easy as that, guys. Easy as that. Nice and gently, nice and relaxed. I'm sorry if it's not quite zoomed in right. It's a very small head I'm working, but I'm sure you get the idea. And again, all we're doing, Nuln oil, and again, all you're doing is going around those areas that you've applied the Iron Warriors to. No need to highlight anything. We're just getting our Iron Warriors, and again, we're just sitting that nicely in those darkened areas that we've applied the Iron Warriors to on those metallics and head bits. Assemble it all together, pop his head into his carapace. Yeah, I think it's whatever it is. Anyway, that's him all done there. Hope you guys have found this video relatively useful. I do apologise if it has been glitchy on the transitions. It wasn't meant to, but hopefully you have found this video useful. If you have, please leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, the usual YouTube jargon, blah blah blah. You know the routine, guys. But as always, I'm always happy to do these. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you on the next one, guys. Bye bye.